I think I'm still trying to wrap my head around this time and place that we find ourselves in. And there's a time when deja vu is cool, and then there's a time when deja vu isn't that cool. It's pretty scary. And I have not been able to reconcile so much of what was shared at that rally in Madison Square Garden with the message of Christ, with loving God with all our hearts, loving neighbor as ourselves, with looking out for the orphan, the widow, the stranger, which includes the asylum seeker, which includes our immigrant brothers and sisters. And as a Puerto Rican woman, to even have a comedian on that platform denigrate the island of my ancestors, the island I take great pride in and that I continue to visit regularly, to disrespect us in that way and to use that as a butt of a joke was so disturbing, so frustrating, so enraging. Like, how dare you say that we're this island of garbage floating in the ocean and that's supposed to warrant humor and applause? And I did hear a few boos, some silence, but there was some laughter as well.
Yeah.
And it's just very painful to think how we can elevate a party, a platform that is filled with such vitriol, with such hatred against immigrants, against non-whites, that it's almost shocking to think that here we are, New York City 2024, and this is the rally that was attended by 20,000 people.
Mhm. Mm.
And interestingly, it echoes a different rally that happened that I learned about recently. It seems to be a part of New York history that's not often discussed. But in 1939, there was a rally framed as a pro American rally, as this was framed America First, pro American. And there were images of George Washington in 1939, the American flag, alongside signs of swastikas elevating white Christian nationalism and Hitler's fascism in Germany. There was incredibly hateful anti Semitic rhetoric, dehumanization of the other, blaming of the other, scapegoating of the other, very much in the same way we saw that play out last night at that rally, where immigrants, specifically Latino immigrants, were being called criminals and rapists, and were being accused of violence, like the most vile forms of inhumanity possible. And to think about that rhetoric being told and laced with lie upon lie, even calling immigrants like they're poisoning the blood of our nation. They're draining our economy. They're invading our country. And that racism was couched in nationalism and patriotism with faith sprinkled in between, what I call a false faith, right? And I am still really grappling and wrestling with what has happened to us.
Mm.
Like, how did we get here that we're so deeply polarized, that we're so deeply divided, that you have Americans being violent against other Americans to overturn an election on January 6th, 2020? You have this instigation of fear and division and this hatred that continues to go forth, really making it so difficult to even have an open conversation like we're having tonight
Mm.
with those on the other side of the political spectrum. And as Christians, we should be able to talk about things We should be able to challenge things that we feel are not aligned with the spirit
Yeah.
of Christ, the gospel message. And so I just wanted to elevate that because I feel like that's just so palpable today. It's in the media. We have folks responding. We have a lot of anger, a lot of hurt and pain once again in our communities.
Yeah. So just want to let you know, in solidarity to our Puerto Rican sisters and brothers, we decided that our background would be those cobblestones in Viejo San Juan, que viva Puerto Rico.